What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to show it to you right now. This is the new album from the band Cuff, entitled Transient Suffering Through the Ergosphere. This is released on Gore House Productions. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of Oshawa, Ontario, Canada, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very brutal, techie, sci-fi themed style of death metal. This is a band that has been very prominent within the brutal death metal underground, just making a ton of full-length albums, a lot of split releases, a lot of compilations, just a very good hustle for this style of band. And over the years, this band has been making a somewhat transitional phase in lyrical content, and it's been a somewhat interesting sci-fi themed sort of trip. And it was well evidented on their 2013 album, Forced Human Sacrifice to the New Gods of the Earth. The lyrical content, the riffs, the songwriting, the guttural croaked vocals, it just made for something completely entertaining, and it definitely fit that album's concept to a T. And that was the first album in a planned trilogy of some sorts. This newest release, their 7th full-length album, Transient Suffering Through the Ergosphere, is the next chapter of the trilogy. It's 9 tracks, and it clocks in at around 37 minutes in length, and this definitely picks up where Forced Human Sacrifice left off, but I seem to notice a much better emphasis of quality this time around, when it comes to the riff work, when it comes to the production, and when it comes to the overall presentation of things. I definitely think this is a much more interesting album than Forced Human Sacrifice, and I definitely attribute that to the guitar work here. The guitar playing is something that definitely stands out on a Cuff release, and as soon as you hear the riff work on tracks like Malignant or Transfusion of Bodily Fluids, I definitely think it makes for something very entertaining. The riff work is just so devastating and heavy. I love the execution of things. I love the emphasis of slams and breakdowns when they're used properly here. The breakdowns definitely don't feel forced or out of place. They definitely suit this album style and concept very well. Even when it comes to the usage of bass drops, they are definitely used properly and not misplaced here at all. Then you get to a track like Transcendence, The Transcendence of Mankind, which is like a 1.5-minute long track, but yet you get a lot done in that particular track. It's definitely something energetic and worthwhile listening to. Moving on to the drums, I believe like in pretty much any Cuff release, the drums are programmed. You can easily tell by the way that it sounds, but I definitely like the way that it's utilized here. It doesn't feel digitized. It doesn't feel half-assed. It definitely suits this overall theme and style perfectly. I love the pulsations. I love the rhythms. I love the quick fills and double bass sounds. I just think it really is awesome. Even to the lengthier tracks of this release, I definitely think the drum work here is very suitable and well worth its time. And moving on to the vocals, I definitely enjoy the vocal style of Cuff. It may not be to everybody's liking, but yet when it comes to Cuff, I think this vocal style works so well here. It's an almost inhaled, guttural sort of croaking sound. It's so freaky. And especially for this album's themes and concepts, I think this vocal style works perfectly. I love Bob's vocal style, his delivery. Definitely a lot more power and a lot more freakiness this time around as opposed to the last full-length record. Of course, you know I love my exhaled guttural style vocals very well, but if you do an inhale vocals properly, I would think Bob does it very well here for this kind of style. It's very awesome. And I think the guest appearances work pretty well here too. I like that they included Larry from Coprocephalic on the track, Spastic Craniotomy. I believe Chris Williams does some guest vocals on The Transcendence of Mankind. You can easily tell that his vocals sound a lot more higher pitched than Bob's vocals do. And of course you have Tony from Gutfucked and Swine Overlord on the track Subsonic Impacts. You can definitely recognize his vocal styles easily and instantly. Even the bonus tracks that are on here are a nice little addition. You have a cover of an old a re-recording of an old Cuff track, I want to say Breeding Diverse Entities. And then you have a cock and ball torture cover, which is just so entertaining. Supreme Genital Goddess. I think Cuff make that song all their own, and I think it's fun to listen to. And of course, Cock and Ball Torture is an amazing band. So overall, if you're a fan of Cuff, if you're a fan of sci-fi inspired brutal death metal, I would say give this new Cuff release a shot. It's definitely a much more well-rounded and balanced record than Forced Human Sacrifice to the New Gods of the Earth. And I'm very interested to hear what the next chapter or final chapter of this trilogy from Cuff is going to be about. I'm pretty sure something will come full circle with that particular release. So if I had to pick any favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say Malignant, Transfusion of Bodily Fluids, The Transcendence of Mankind, and the closing track of the new songs Through the Ergosphere. So I'm going to leave you some links in the description box as to how you can get a hold of this album and listen to it. I will link you to the Gore House Productions Bandcamp page where you can stream this album in its entirety, hear it for yourself, and be your own judge as to whether you think it's worthy of being purchased or not. It will also be available digitally and physically, jewel case CD, very nicely done. There are also bundle packages, shirts, flags, posters, you name it, they probably will have it. So I'm going to show the album again. This is Transient Suffering Through the Ergosphere by Cuff. This is released on Gore House Productions. Definitely check this out, and I'm going to give this a very solid 8 out of 10. Very entertaining release. It's definitely worth listening to. Let it get comfortable with you for a few listens or two, and then it'll most likely be comfortable with you if you enjoy this style of brutal death metal. And if you've happened to have heard this album, let me know what you think of it. So I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks all for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel, and until the next time, I'm Miho out.